This is part 5 of the Tinkercad egg puzzle demo. So we're making a toy consisting of several layered eggs. And today we're going to make the inside of the toy, which is a three-dimensional egg puzzle consisting of 8 pieces. So to get started with this puzzle, the first thing we have to do is we have to design an actual shape for the puzzle piece. So I'm going to start by bringing in a cylinder. And I'm going to immediately change this to an oval. So I'm going to change the width to 40 millimeters. And then I'll bring in 2 more cylinders, one here and one of them here. And I will just align these 2 other cylinders so that they're almost tangent to the original cylinder here, and also symmetric with respect to each other. And then I'll bring in a box which lines up with the bottom of these cylinders here, and I'll bring in another box to kind of fit in the center here, and I'm going to be careful that the left side of this box is lined up with the center of the cylinder, and the right side of this box is lined up with the center of that cylinder there. Okay, so that looks pretty accurate, and I'm going to make the height of the box so that it lines up with the center of the place where these 2 pieces are almost touching. Okay, now I have these 5 pieces. I will make these 2 cylinders transparent. And now before I group the pieces together, I'm going to copy the entire assembly and move everything over by 100 units so that I have a second copy, because I'm going to have to work with the second copy in a minute. So now I can just select all 5 pieces and group them together. And what you see is now we have a beautiful puzzle piece which we can use as a stencil later for cutting puzzle shapes out of other objects. So the reason I made the second copy of all my puzzle piece shapes is that I actually need to adjust them. These puzzle pieces later are going to have to slide together, which means we're going to have holes of this shape and then pieces of this shape that slide into the holes. And for the pieces to be able to slide in the holes, I have to make the holes slightly bigger than the rest of the pieces. And for this reason, I'm going to take each of my cylinders here and increase its size by 2 millimeters in every direction. So this solid cylinder I'm going to increase by 2 millimeters, and these hollow cylinders I will actually decrease their size by 2 millimeters in each possible way. I'll also take my box and increase it by 2 millimeters. And finally, the piece in the center, I will have to adjust it as well. I'm going to bring the top down by 2 millimeters so that it's once again lined up here, pretty close to where the other pieces are touching. So now I can take these 5 shapes and group them together, and I have another kind of puzzle piece shape. And it's almost exactly the same as the first one, except that it is slightly bigger. So let me make both of them transparent, and then let me move the right piece over exactly to where it was, so by negative 100 millimeters. And now you can see when we zoom into it that there is exactly a 2 millimeter gap between these 2 pieces here. Okay, so the outer one is going to eventually be a hole, and the inner one is eventually going to be solid. Now the next thing I have to do is attach these puzzle pieces to another box so that I can actually use them later. So let me bring another box in. Let me attach it here along one of these grid lines, and I'm also going to make it quite a bit wider. So let me change its width, for example, to 200 units, and I'll make it higher as well. And then I will take one of these puzzle pieces, the bigger one, which I will also make solid, and then I'll move the piece down so that it aligns here with the upper part of this box. Okay, and I'm also going to move it just a tad to the left so that it's centered with respect to a grid line. And then I'll take the other piece, the transparent piece, which is the smaller piece, and I will turn this piece upside down. and then I'll move it over and align it also so that it lines up with the top of the box. Okay. Now these pieces are a little bit too close together. I'm gonna want at least 80 units between them. So from here to where the other piece starts, I want it to be 80 units. And for this, I'm actually going to take my box and make it still wider. And then I'll move the transparent piece to about here. Now the pieces are lined up the way I want them to. I'm going to take this box and make it quite substantially bigger. Later it doesn't matter if it's too big, but it will matter if it's too small. So let me actually make this quite big. And now I'm just going to take all three pieces and group them together. And then this stencil now looks like this. And it's going to be what we will use later to cut puzzle shapes from other three-dimensional shapes. So now that we have the stencil, the last thing I'm going to do is first I'm going to make it transparent, and then I will also make two copies of it. So I will duplicate it here. I'll turn the other copy upside down, and then I'll move the second copy so that the two copies are lined up exactly. So I'll align the two stencil pieces so that the gap is uniform. This finishes part 5 of the series. Thanks for watching. So in the next part we're going to construct the actual puzzle.